There's no better time than the end of the year to focus on your customer journey to make sure that every customer you're getting is sticking around, having results, you're building a relationship with them, and they're sticking around in your ecosystem to help you build and scale your business. But oftentimes we forget that customer journeys are not one and done. They grow, they iterate, they're just like relationships. And all of us, myself included, have customers that often disengage or fail to follow through after purchasing a product or a service, which leads to a lot of pain. Refunds, dissatisfaction, them putting copious amounts of pressure, false expectations, and it leaves us as business owners feeling frustrated or confused when our content or offers fail to generate engagement, comments, or sales. And many entrepreneurs, and I used to make this mistake, focus heavily on asking for action, getting people to do withdrawals without building trust or providing value, which we call deposits beforehand. And a lack of understanding about how customer behavior and emotional decisions actually work and how they influence the success of our offers, of our programs, is what causes all of this frustration. And so we end up with people that we have the best product, the best program, the best service, and those people end up feeling overwhelmed or unprepared after making a purchase or downloading a lead magnet, which leads them to doubt and inaction, which makes our problems worse. Or we end up feeling like we're constantly begging for engagement or sales without reciprocity and without reciprocating the value, and it creates a disconnect between business and our audience, and we get massively frustrated. And so without intentional customer journey design and understanding the stages that people go through, we as business owners lose the opportunity to guide customers effectively. And so both of us and the customer ends up frustrated. Sometimes resentment creeps in, and we as entrepreneurs unknowingly create friction by overloading customers with a zone of doubt or with tasks or content that feels burdensome. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so really what it boils down to is us implementing a balanced approach to reciprocity. We'll just take it as a bank account where we're intentionally making value deposits before asking for withdrawals and people to take action. So we design intentional customer journeys using the 5 steps. We acknowledge them, we prepare them, we project, we pre-handle and excite them to guide our customers to reduce overwhelm, but to actually get them in progress of the incredible offers and gifts that we bring to the world. And we get to view customer relationships as emotional connections that require trust and safety rather than transactions. So we focus on providing consistent value through content, communication, and support that fosters loyalty and engagement in that two-way relationship. And then I help you build the systems that prioritize that customer's journey and success, ensuring that you build long-term results for both them and yourself and deep relationships that make them want to bring more people in. And so I cover all of that in today's episode, and I'm really excited for you to listen. So without further ado, let's get into the show. All right, my friends, welcome back. And we're going to get into the meat. We're going to talk about reciprocity, but in the lens of making revenue, because I had this topic come up with Bella. I love you, Bella. Bella's one of my dear friends. She's in the Alliance. And this topic came up because when I was teaching customer journey to the VIPs at the event, and I was talking about the 5 steps, right? So I'll repaint the picture of the 5 steps. And if you haven't listened to that podcast or you don't know who I am, I would go listen to that podcast and check out the channel trailer. But the 5 steps are something you apply to customer journey anywhere where you have an interaction with a customer. Like any touch point where you have an interaction with a customer is where you can apply the 5 steps. And they are acknowledge, prepare, project, pre-handle, and excite, right? Well, when I teach this, I was teaching it in the lens of fulfillment for customers who bought. And typically when customers buy, the moment they buy is where they fall into the triangle of death, which is the 4 mistakes that people make in customer journey, which there's another podcast on, but the zone of doubt, the inverse journey, and the drown the journey. And so it's typically after the credit card where they fall into that, where we accidentally make these customer journey mistakes that get in the way of them getting result or progress. We also forget that when somebody commits to something, when they buy something, they're getting ready to start or try something new. And that means different behaviors, different beliefs if we want that to stick. And so the 5 steps serve many, many purposes, but also in understanding this, we were talking about a fitness program and somebody selling a fitness program. And I said, well, we have to understand reciprocity in the lens of deposits and withdrawals with our customers. So if you haven't read the book, The Go-Giver, I highly recommend it. I've had Bob, one of the authors, on the podcast, and it's, in my opinion, the only way to do business. But in the lens of reciprocity, we're either making a deposit into our customer and giving them evidence to move closer towards us because they're benefiting, or we're making a withdrawal.
And a withdrawal means we're asking them to do something. And yes, they may have paid us money, they may be getting coaching, but when we give the workout, we're still asking them to do something, and that's work for them, right? And so in the lens of that, even when we think about content, and you're posting a piece of content on social media and you ask people to do 3 things, you might not have enough deposits in the bank for them to do those 3 things because we're just focused on withdrawals, right? And so when I think about withdrawals and deposits in the lens of reciprocity and the lens of business and the lens of revenue, what I'm talking about is any evidence that we're giving somebody in any interaction with us to either make a deposit into them and fill that bank account, or ask them to do something that gets them closer to their goals. But for years, I've watched people struggle and just post content on social. And like, I ask people to do something every time and nobody does it. I'm like, you haven't made any deposits in order for them or you to earn the right for them to give one back. And I'll give you a tangible example. I had a very big client, big organization, like 13 million Instagram followers, and they were convinced it was broken and they were upset nobody was commenting. And so after talking to them and teaching them this concept, I was like, well, truth is, if you had like 30,000 people liking the post and none of them commented, they don't have a reason to comment. I bet you if you went on each person's page who liked that post and left a comment on each of their posts, like just from your account, naturally, what would happen? And literally a couple of weeks later, we were getting 8,000 comments because we made a deposit, because we don't have, nobody owes us anything, right? Like nobody on social owes us anything. Nobody owes us their time, their energy, their intention. When we're in business, when we're in social, we're an equal value exchange in order for both parties to win. And so we have to understand that at every interaction with every person, every customer, every potential customer, we are either making a deposit in our relationship bank or we're making a withdrawal. That could be in behaviors, that could be in content, it could be in coaching, it could be in all of it. So in the lens of customer journey, I just want you to imagine somebody's buying a 12-month fitness coaching program, right? And if you came to me right now and I was like, great, thanks for buying, we'll start right now, you wouldn't. You'll prep, right? And so no matter what, most people's programs and services work, they get them to their outcomes, but the missing customer journey is what fills in the pieces. And I'm not going to fill in how to build the customer journey, but I'm going to tell you this in the lens of withdrawals and deposits and how my brain calculates it and where I've seen the biggest impact in companies by just understanding this, right? And so let's just imagine somebody bought my workout program and they're going to start in 6 days. And in between, I'm just going to hit my acknowledge, prepare, project, pre-handle, and excite on one day. Not because it's linear, but just in teaching this, that's where it matters. And so I just want you to envision when somebody gives you their credit card or gives me their credit card, we are no longer at neutral. Before they gave me their credit card, I'd say our bank account balance was 0. The moment they give me their credit card, I go -1, no matter what, because it was an action, it was an investment. Not a bad thing. That's how it works. The acknowledge step, when I teach it, and I teach it on the other podcast, but what it really does is it closes the loop of the commitment, but it also brings that -1 back to 0. The prepare step that comes second is we're actually preparing them for this 12-month workout program, what it's going to look like, where we're going to go, but we're really painting the picture and helping them navigate. They might need to go buy a journal or get some workout clothes. So it requires action on their part. And so then I go -1. And so the next step, the project step, paints the picture of what they're going to achieve or what they're committed to remind them why they're doing this, which brings me back to 0. But then I go to the pre-handle step. And this is where I know that in this program, they might have a bad day. They might get sick. This might happen. But if that happens, don't slash your other 3 tires. Just change it. Here's the plan. But in that lens, in people thinking that and facing the reality of the workout, it's a -1. So I'm back to -1. And then the excite step says, hey, now you have all this. This is the most ready you've ever been to do this 12-month journey. Now let's start playing. Brings us back to 0. And 0 is when they start implementing the program or the course. What typically happens is somebody gives us their credit card, which makes them -1. Then they fall into the zone of doubt, the inverse journey, or the drown the journey, or any combination of them. So they open their email. It's overwhelming. That's -2. They close it, don't do anything with it. They come back to it the next day, open it, don't do anything with it, feel overwhelmed and don't log into the program, -3, -4. Then get in the calls and get in the program and don't take action, and we get upset, make bad and wrong, -5, -6. Hey, I need a refund. I don't want to be here anymore. Customer journey is so much more than the content. And I would say that customer journey has nothing to do with the content. It has everything to do with the container and the context of the relationship so that the content can land and be effective. And so we have to understand that in any product, in any service, in anything that you're doing where you're helping people move, where you're helping them grow, where you're helping them learn, you're helping them change their behaviors. You're helping them change their habits, their routines, the way they think about things. And we're not robots. We need to be led through that process. We need to be supported through that process, but we also have to understand what's happening in that process. And so for me, and after reading The Go-Giver, I started looking at business and everything in the lens of deposits and withdrawals, deposits and withdrawals. And so the reason those 5 steps work so well, especially like in the supplement companies, is they were already sending them amazing content to take the product, to use the product. But when the product arrived, they were so overwhelmed and so bombarded, they couldn't take it. And so by just understanding the habits and the behaviors of our customers, and then building a plan that supports them, not us, and then using these 5 steps, what we were really doing is tilting the reciprocity bank to make sure that both of us were having equal value exchanges, leading the journey and getting closer to the ideal outcome or the ideal destination, right? And so I've always looked at marketing this way. I even used to teach this in my email marketing course when we were teaching, or just even email consulting back when all I did was email. But even when we were doing nurture emails, I would always break them up into the lens of 5s. And everyone's like, why 5? And I was like, because 5 is where you can tell a whole story. It's like a journey. It's a good chunk. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, but there's only 5 types of emails that go in there, or 3 types of emails that go in there. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, value, ask, and question. And they're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, my perfect ratio is 3 value, 1 question, and 1 ask. And they're like, what's an ask? I'm like, a call to action, to buy my product, to buy my program. They're like, what's a question? I'm like, it's an open-ended question where I'm building a relationship. I'm asking them to respond. And they're like, and what's the value? I'm like, 3 emails that add value, that don't require them to do anything, that make their life better. And I was like, because in the lens of 5, if I have 3 emails that add value, 1 where I create a connection point, and then in that 5, I only have 1 hard sell or 1 ask, my reciprocity bank is still positive. And so even if they say no to my offer, our relationship is still solid. And I've been using that. I've never talked about that publicly for the last 10 years. And that is probably the number 1 quote unquote strategy and tactic that's worked better than anything, is how I just applied it in those 5 emails. And so we have to understand the difference between deposits and withdrawals. And what we're really doing is we're making deposits and withdrawals in a relationship, whether they're consuming our Instagram, DMing us on social, whether they're on a Zoom call, because what they're doing is collecting evidence about us and a relationship with us to inform their decision to either pursue it or not. And so we have to think about things like this. And so I was asked to share this because I shared this with the VIPs at our event, which, by the way, we just opened event tickets and they're going quick, and we even changed the structure of the event. So I would grab them, since our alliance is popping and they're all grabbing the seats, but I would go to mindofgeorge.com/event right now. At the event in Dallas, it's in March. I'm going to be covering all of this: customer journey, the 3 mistakes, the 5 steps, how to apply them, make them ubiquitous, create your outcomes with those customer journeys, probably your movement. We'll do some breath work. We'll do some mindset. We'll do some workshopping. We'll have some incredible speakers. We'll all be dancing together. And so there's only 2 tickets. There's a general admission ticket, which is 3 days. And then there's the VIP ticket, which is 4 days. And so this is new, and we've combined it all together, and people are excited. So you get the 3-day event, and the 4th day is we mastermind and build and implement all of it specifically for you. And so go to mindofgeorge.com/event. And if you keep wondering, like, what is this alliance? What is this alliance? It's your home with a seat at the table that we're waiting for you in. But let me be clear. It's our family, it's our community where there's a ton of us working next to each other. We work on our mindset, our customer journeys, our relationships. We celebrate our wins. We do calls twice a month. I do a drop once a week on something to focus or add into your life or business. We support each other on Circle. We ask for support and collaboration. We're all committed to being an alliance of entrepreneurs working together, supporting each other, teaming up to help rising tides rise all ships. And then I'm dropping all the best I have in there: customer journey, mindset. We have our fast track to clarity, which is what I used to do in 12 months. In a mastermind now is done in 5-6 minute videos to map out your perfect year, get clarity, focus on your needle movers, stop self-sabotage by protecting our momentum, all that stuff. And so if you want any info on that, we would love to have you. It's invitation only, which means you have to shoot me a DM on Instagram. So shoot me a DM that says Alliance, and I'll send you a video, most likely hitting the 5 steps, and then sending you the info. And so when it comes to reciprocity, as I close this episode right at the 13-minute mark, you have to understand that no matter what, relationships are the only thing that you're actually trying to build, because it's what's required for somebody to opt in, for somebody to follow you, for somebody to buy from you, because all of those are emotional-based decisions. And every time a human being makes an emotional-based decision, they collect evidence until they feel safe enough to do so. And if all we do is constantly make withdrawals and withdrawals and withdrawals, they'll never have enough evidence to feel safe to follow us, to opt in, or to get on a call to potentially have us help them. And so we have to look at every relationship, because they're all that matters and they're at the foundation of everything. And so make sure you're living go-giver, make sure you're prioritizing relationships, and make sure that people's results and the relationship matter way more than the credit card, and you'll win. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for letting me do this episode. I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you in the Alliance, or I'll see you to the event, mindofgeorge.com/event, or shoot me a DM on Instagram that says Alliance, and we would love to have you in the Alliance. Love you. Bye.